Time to give some attention to those houseplants. And we're at Dana Middleton's house. Dana, you have a beautiful home.
Thank you, Ed, very much.
And I noticed you have your houseplants out here outside. And
you know, when we were reorganizing inside, I decided to just lay them all out because the weather was still warm. But as you know, in the past few days, couple of weeks, it started to chill down a little bit, and I know it's coming. Things are a little gangly, and I need to know exactly what to do with them now that winter's coming.
This is a gorgeous jade plant, by the way.
It's done well, yes.
Oh, it's beautiful. And you know, I think if maybe some of this top growth is pinched off or pruned off, either one, and it's given a little bit more of an oriental shape and then put into a nice container like the one you have here, that it would really be pretty.
So you're not recommending I necessarily repot it?
No, not at all.
All right.
Now, this is a plant that likes a lot of sun, so when we bring it into the home, we'll still want it in a very light area.
Okay.
But here's the most important thing of all. This plant should be taken to an intermediate area for 2 or 3 days before it's brought into the home. So maybe you want it on a porch that's covered or in the utility room or something before you bring it into 70-degree temperatures.
So even overnight it'll be all right?
Oh yeah, but you give it that 3 or 4 day transition period first.
I'll do it. And pruning too, I didn't realize that.
Speaking of pruning, Dana.
That's one of those that you start from one leaf and see what happens.
I thought you were going to tell me this was from the studio or something, that it wasn't your plant. You notice that it's bare, and I know a lot of the viewers have this same problem.
Yes.
These will never gain leaves again. So the thing to do is really to prune the plant back. Now, and prune just above a node, one of these lines. That's where a leaf originated. And what's going to happen then, these buds, there's a little bud right there. That bud will break out with new growth. And you replenish this old growth completely. Now, if you want to...
So they don't have to be long stalks like this.
You don't have to. The other thing is to put another plant in here and let it grow up with it, too. But I don't think that's a good idea. Well, I think it's better to just cut it back and let it come on.
We'll do it.
Yeah. Now, one last plant, and that's this one here. And...
little grape, gangly.
Yeah, but that's all right. It's not too bad.
But you know, I noticed even the color, even now, is not so good. It's a little bit yellow.
It is. It needs a little bit of help. Probably a little bit of fertilizer at this time of the year would be a benefit to it. And I think maybe once a month is enough during the winter.
Okay. And again, is this good in the basement?
It'd be excellent for 3 or 4 days, and then take it wherever you want it.
All right. And how about light?
Quite a bit of light, but not direct sunlight.
All right, and it'll be okay then.
Yeah.
All right, what I'd like to do next, if it's possible, I have a unique problem, let's say, over on this side of the yard that we ought to address. You know, Ed, one of the things we've been concerned about, because we do have the deck and we'd like a little bit of privacy, and the houses are really very close to us. So I'm wondering what your recommendations would be for something to put back in here that affords us a little more privacy.
You know, that's a good point, Dana, because in the city or in the county even, you're limited to how high you can build something.
Right.
So that is not really the way to provide privacy. The thing is with plants. And so, yeah, that's a good suggestion. I think probably in this particular case, you can use some really nice plants that'll grow high, won't dwarf the house or the surroundings, and yet provide the privacy that you want.
What would you recommend? What kind of plant?
Well, in this particular area with the homes behind us, I think I would use maybe bamboo. Now, they have a very prolific root system, so you might want to confine those either with an enclosure of some kind of polyethylene or fiberglass, or you might want to make a container and plant them in the container. Now, the beauty is you can see the bare stems at the base and then all the foliage above, and you can get height up to 35 feet. Then there's some beautiful evergreens like primadalis, Thuya primadalis, emerald green, lalandi would all be good varieties.
Very good. And they won't lose their leaves. They'll last all year round.
Right.
The other concern, and I think for anybody who lives on a hill in this state, you end up often with retaining walls.
Yes.
And ours is pretty high, and I would worry about someone coming right over the edge of it, mainly a child. What would be a good edging for us, a little bit of protection against the top of that wall?
You have a drop here, probably, what, 15, 20 feet or so?
Yeah, and I hate to build a railing or another wall
That's really dangerous
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
I think probably I would use either some form of boxwood along there, or
Okay.
possibly one of the barberries, because they have the barbs, and that would keep the children and the dogs or cats from looking over the edge or falling over the edge of it. And probably one of the evergreen varieties of barberry would be ideal.
See, and I didn't realize there was an evergreen
Yeah,
variety,
and
so
you
that's
could
great.
train it as a hedge if you wanted to too.
All right. Terrific. Good
Okay.
suggestions.
Okay,
All right.
let's talk about how to winterize roses.
I've been worried about them.
Okay.
You know, Ed, I think I am finally completely confused about roses in terms of when to clip them back, how far to clip them back, or should I clip them back? So clear me up on the rose confusion.
Okay. In the fall, I say cut them back to about 3 feet. And of
Okay.
course, this is lower
Yeah, we have
than
a little
this.
one here.
Yeah. Do the really severe pruning in the spring, usually in about, late February, early March.
Okay.
This time of the year, I would take off the dead flowers. We don't want any insects or disease to incubate over those areas, so
right.
we just cut them off. The biggest problem at this time of the year, you remember how cold it got last winter and
Yes,
how
that's what
many
I'm worried about.
roses were lost?
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing to do now is to take some bark or sawdust and just mulch up around in the center of the plant to a height of about somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 or 6 inches. And you'll see this about 6 inches to protect those lower canes. That's the best thing you can do. And if you don't have bark or sawdust, just even pull up some of the soil
Okay.
around the base of the canes. That makes all the difference in the world. Then this is pulled away in about, late February, early March.
Right about the time you're pruning them down.
Yeah, right.
Terrific.
Exactly the same
All
time.
right. Now, we also noticed as we walked by, and literally I had not seen this before, that part of this plant next to the rose has died.
Yes. I think that's probably dog damage.
Okay.
Is that possible?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, is what happened, I checked that just quickly, and the cambium layer, which is below the bark, is dead, so that should be pruned out.
Okay. Now, if I take all that out, what are my chances of getting it to...
You have a very good chance of the surrounding plant filling that in. Not overnight, it's going to take a little while, but that can eventually fill it in.
All right. Good advice. Thanks.
You know, let's talk about some of the ways we can provide fall color in the garden.
Good. All right.
Okay. There's some beautiful plants that provide fall and winter color in the garden. Dana, among them, of course, are the beautiful chrysanthemums.
These are beautiful. They're
Yeah.
great.
When a person picks them, though, I wouldn't pick them in full bloom like this. Pick them with a lot of buds on them.
Sure.
Because then they'll flower for a longer period
All
of time.
right. And these guys?
Yeah, these are the flowering kale and the flowering cabbage. They'll bloom probably through February or so.
Some of my favorites.
When it gets colder, they'll even intensify more in color. So, and the pansies, the key, I think, is selecting the lighter colored flowering varieties. Don't get the dark ones. During the winter, we need light in the garden. And this is a perennial. This is a perennial aster. It's called Michaelmas daisy. Isn't that pretty? And there's
It's
low
beautiful.
growing, there's medium, and then there's tall growing varieties. So they're really super. I picked those up at the nursery yesterday.
And speaking of tall growing varieties, you know what? This tree has been the most wonderful in all the yard this fall.
It
It's
is
just
gorgeous.
fabulous. These
Yeah.
colors are so great.
This is a vine maple, and it's native, of course, to the state. But it's a tree that is ideal for this kind of landscaping because you have, 3 stories here.
Right.
This will never overpower the house.
Yeah.
It has a beautiful habit during the winter. The branching alone is
Yeah.
pretty.
Yeah, it's
Then the leaves come on in the spring, and then you get this gorgeous autumn leaf color. It's just outstanding.
Well, I want to thank you for your advice. You've given me lots of good hints and suggestions.
Well, I want to thank you for sharing your
My
garden with all
pleasure.
of us. We've really enjoyed it.
My pleasure.
And next, we're going to move on to the nursery. It was nice to have an opportunity to talk about some practical applications of gardening earlier at Dana's home. But a lot of the decisions are made in nurseries and garden centers where there's lots of professional help on hand. And one of those people is Mary Archambault at Sky Nursery. Mary, let's show some of the plants and maybe plant up a container that folks could use for fall color in the
Right,
garden.
okay. I think one of the things we wanted to show people are the fall chrysanthemums that you can get in a number of different styles, from a daisy type of flower to a full little chrysanthemum pom-pom.
And these are long flowering too, aren't
Long flowering, and once you cut the flowers off, you still have more flowers coming on. And once those flowers have faded, you can remove them and you can put them into the garden so that they'll come back every year.
they? Sure.
They're
Now,
monks
what'd you
well.
just give me here?
These are cabbage or kale, which people use in the wintertime for brightness. And we like to use a lot of white in the gardens because when you come home, it's dark and the white just pops out. In the moonlight, it's just absolutely fabulous.
Now, whereas the chrysanthemums you can use year after year, these plants are single season.
You
aren't
do.
they?
Your kale or cabbage is going to be something that you have to put in every year.
I'm going to grab one of these here.
All right.
And these will last for how long, Mary?
Well, usually your kales and cabbage will last well into January, February. If we get a real hard frost, they can go down. You keep removing the lower leaves because they do get yellow. And so you remove the lower leaves, and if it gets a little too leggy, you can actually bury them down a little bit deeper.
To conceal that
To
stem.
conceal them, or cover them up with maybe some more pansies.
Now, you mentioned the light color, and
Light
here's a
color.
nice plant for that.
The silvery dusty millers used a lot, even in the summertime, but we use it a lot in the wintertime here in the Puget Sound area because we have such mild winters.
It's one of the nicest plants, I think, for providing light in the garden.
That's right.
Particularly in a shaded area of the garden, or you could also use it if you want to in full sun, either
Well,
one.
it's such a good contrast to take, if you've got different bright colors, you need a little white or silver to soften between your different color contrasts.
Sure.
Now we've got winter pansies that we're planting.
Great. Now, these
And-
bloom at the opposite time of the year, don't they?
Well, they bloom in the winter, fall and winter. And I haven't actually had to transplant. I have the same varieties of pansies coming up or new seedlings coming up from some I planted 2 years ago.
Oh, is that right?
They just keep
Oh,
coming.
wow. So you don't have to plant on them for just a single season, but you can get a lot more color as
That's
well.
right. And don't be afraid to pinch back pansies if they get a little bit too tall and leggy, because you'll get a recurrent growth and more blossoms.
Good point. Now,
Let's use a white one,
Yeah,
too.
I'm using the lighter colors again for exactly the same reason you pointed out before. Because the winter season is so dark. Boy, I don't know if I can find room for it, but let's try to tuck it in here.
Yeah, now I see that you don't have enough room. I was going to suggest we put in some bulbs, some daffodils or tulips to also come up in the springtime, because you could tuck those in and they'd come up as a surprise in the
Sure.
spring.
Yeah, and you could use the taller ones in the center and work out to the crocus, the
That's
low
right.
ones on the edge.
That's right.
So very quickly, you can see how easy it is to plant up these containers, and with just a little effort there, we've added a lot of color to the garden. Now, let's next talk, since you mentioned bulbs, let's talk about planting bulbs.
All right.
Mary, I picked these bulbs out inside, and I was noticing in the bin, these are daffodils, of course, that there was some that were single-nosed and some in the same bin that were double-nosed. And of course, the double-nosed would produce about 1.5 flowers per bulb, and this only one, so they cost the same. You
That's
might as well
right.
pick out the better ones.
More flowers with more noses.
Yeah, then let's just plant the tallest ones here in the middle.
Now don't forget, we brought the bone meal out
I'm sorry.
to stir that in. Bone meal is going to create a nice strong root system and also bigger and better flowers,
Yeah,
longer lasting flowers.
And I know you like to use it, and it is important to use it. But we'll put the tallest bulbs in the center.
The daffodils in the center.
Right, and then next, let's see, let's put a 5 because we want an odd number there.
Right.
Put in a few of these.
The hyacinth, very fragrant, wonderful hyacinths. Now, a lot of people start these also indoors in little hyacinth vases.
Oh,
Because
right.
they're so fragrant indoors in the wintertime.
Now, I'm going to put this in, and the reason why I'm going to put this soil in right now is because along the edge, I'm going to plant some crocus.
We've got some small crocus here.
Okay, are these all one? No, these are mixed colors.
Mixed colors, I thought, why not? You know, you want a riot of color in the springtime.
You bet. Now, the key here, too, is that the bulbs should never touch each other, should they?
Well,
Because if they get diseased in any way, we don't want that disease to spread from one bulb to another.
that's right.
Okay. So we've produced now, the only thing we don't have in here is any tulips, but tulips are great pot plants too, aren't they?
Tulips would be great. A lot of the other flower, now some of the new varieties of tulips, I did grab the rock garden tulips. These only get 10 inches tall.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they bloom so much earlier than some of the other varieties. So right now in your nurseries, you'll find a large selection of bulbs, and now is the time to buy.
Sure, and I should have included some of them in this container because, like you say, they're earlier flowering. Then you have early, mid-season, and late
This could
flowers.
go on for 3 months flowering.
Oh, yeah.
Just an endless supply of flowers.
Mary, as you mentioned earlier, this would be a great time then to add maybe some of the chrysanthemums and winter flowering pansies and all those plants over the top. So you have the bulbs for later, but you have that instant color right now. And these can go right out in the garden now, can't they?
Right now. They should go outside, actually, because if you put them inside, they'll bloom too quickly.
Any winter protection for them?
If it gets really cold, maybe against the house or under something so you don't get it frozen, but they should be fine outside, even
Okay.
if they do freeze.
Next, let's talk about wintering geraniums and fuchsias.
Very good.
The geraniums and fuchsias have been beautiful this summer, but boy, it's kind of time to get them ready for their winter resting place, isn't it, Mary?
That's right. Something this expensive, you don't want to just replace it every year, so we should winterize them.
Okay. Do we prune it back? Is that where we start?
We do. We do recommend usually pruning back, say, about 5 to 6 inches from the base of the pot. Just cut the tops right off. Some people will start these tops here, but we're just going to set them aside for right now.
Sure.
And this is something that you do this time of the year in the fall.
You have to do it before the first frost in the fall, too, don't you?
That's
Otherwise,
right.
these are just ruined.
That's right. And I would also take off all the smaller leaves
Okay.
at the base of the plant.
And then we should put this probably, what, in the basement or the garage, somewhere above freezing.
Above freezing, but nice and cool, and just keep it from drying out. We don't want to keep it too wet in the wintertime.
Okay.
So continue to cut it all the way back, store it in a cool spot for winter.
Okay, now let's talk about a fuchsia because this is a very popular plant in this area. How far back do you start cutting this?
About the same, actually.
Okay.
Just come in and start pruning back. Just give it a haircut.
The important thing that everyone needs to know is that if you don't do this, these branches that are here right now will not have leaves next year, and the plant looks absolutely ugly.
That's right.
And it's so much easier to store it during the winter if it is pruned back properly.
And all the new growth will come from the base, and you'll have a very nice, big, bushy plant
yeah.
again in the spring.
A lot more flowers than you had this past year, in fact. And the other thing that's really interesting, I think, about these is that these can take a light frost, can't they?
They can.
Yeah. Go ahead and keep pruning
all
that,
right.
Mary, so that they can get an idea of how severe you are doing it. The other thing that I want to mention is that you can store this in the basement or the garage if you want to, like you do your geraniums. But you can also put them in the crawl space under the house, and you can also, if you want, to bury them in the ground. To bury them in the ground, you do lay them on their side. You don't set them upright like they are now because too much water would gather in the soil and you have to drown the plant. And then these are brought up in February and repotted, aren't they?
Repotted, a light fertilizing, put them back out in the light and start them growing again.
Okay, the important thing is if you are burying them outside, you do lay them on their side. That's the important thing to keep in mind. Mary, thanks a lot for all the information, and I hope our viewers have gained a lot in knowing how to care for their plants and what to do at this time of the year.
Good. It's always a pleasure to have you here, Ed.
Thank you, and I'll be back to talk about rhododendrons next. Here in the Pacific Northwest, the rhododendron is one of the most popular of all plants. They say there are about 30,000 varieties, and few of them need any kind of protection at all. But the tender or the early flowering varieties may need to be covered with some type of cloth material if the temperature gets down to, say, about 15 degrees above zero or lower. So as soon as the weather moderates, take that covering off. And if you buy a small plant like this, before you know it, it'll be a big plant like this. They're really nice plants to grow in the garden. But fall is also a good time to accomplish many other gardening projects. Researchers tell us that this is one of the best times of the entire year for fertilizing the lawn area. And it's also a great time for transplanting and planting trees and shrubs. And it won't be long until it'll be time for pruning your fruit trees, too. Thank you for joining me for this fall gardening special.